Hello, this is Mr. Kays, and we are finishing up Chapter 7.3 with 7.3b. We've discussed how the rise of the Han came about. We see that they had some enemies, the Xiongnu in the northwest provinces, how they pushed them out, and then they started to settle down on those regions so these nomadic tribes couldn't come back. Now we're going to look at how they run their government. The emperors now have a huge territory to rule, and they need help. So what they're going to do is levy high taxes on the people to pay for the army, roads, canals, irrigation ditches, and the Great Wall. So they have to pay people to help them rule, and they create a civil service. And a civil servant would get a government job if he passed a rigorous exam. It included Confucian ideals, math, and science. And people would study for about a year and then take an exam, and only the highest scores got offered the job. There's the idea that the cream of the crop is going to prove itself out. And if you got a job as a civil servant or a mandarin, you were something. You had power, prestige, honor, and money. Confucian scholars would teach at schools, and they emphasized respect, generosity, truth, diligence being stick-to-itiveness or perseverance, and kindness. Yet only the wealthy could afford to send their sons to school. The poor people, they had to have their kids work in the fields so they could eat. So the rich got richer and the poor got left out. So it's very difficult to rise in society. You're pretty much stuck where you are. Han technology, commerce, and culture. Paper was invented about 105 AD. It replaces silk as a writing service. Can you imagine they wrote on silk? That would have been a very costly mistake if they made an error. But paper was invented, collar harnesses to put on oxen, water buffalo, or horses to pull loads without choking their windpipes, two-blade plow, wheelbarrows, and water mills. The government had a monopoly on manufacture of certain items. That means exclusive control on making salt, mining iron ore, producing coins, producing alcohol, and the manufacture of silk. The government made a lot of money off of that. They tried to make non-Chinese people become just like them. It's a process called assimilation. And farmers were sent out to the northwest region and south to intermarry with the locals and make them more Chinese. That's assimilation. The word similar comes out of it. Women, you were second-class citizens in the eyes of the men. You were devoted to your family, you stayed at home, you obeyed your parents, you lived with them until you got married, and then you left your family and joined to your husband's household and were ruled over by him and your mother-in-law. Now, if women didn't want to marry, they could become Buddhist nuns. Sometimes wealthy people did better, but women were, unfortunately, second-class citizens there. There was a custom that continued on that made each generation poor. It's a custom of dividing your land equally among your sons. That became a disaster because if you have 4 sons, each one got, 25% of the land. But when they married and had family, they had lesser plots than Dad before them. And you had less and less farmland to grow food. The wealthy didn't have to pay any tax. Who made that stupid rule? Well, probably the wealthy. And the gap between rich and wealthy becomes so evident. And the wealthy people lord it over the poor people, and the poor people are going to get angry. A scholar and court member named Wang Mang is going to seize power, and he's going to do something that was needed, gave land reform. He forced the rich people to sell off their land to poor people so there'd be more land. Well, he gets murdered for that. Who do you think bumps him off? Well, the rich people. So this policy of land reform is going to kind of die out. Each succeeding decade of Han rule was prosperous, but it's going to lead to decay. Sound like the Roman Empire? Well, I think it is. Well, this is Mr. K's. We're done with Chapter 7, specifically 7.3b, and I'll see you down the next chapter. Bye-bye.